Siyamukela abalaleli nababukeli be-MBC today. Kunjalo ke sithanda ukwamukela umfowethu lana oweZAPU ozibiza ngokuthi ngumsomlomo. Umsomlomo ke lona weZAPU. Omuchacha kuZAPU sizwe ukuthi yena usiphatheleni. Siyakwamukela ke baba Ndlovu.
Angibonge baba Nkala, ngibonge kuwe lemuli yonke MBC ngomsebenzi eluphetheyo ukuthuthukisa not only isizwe sakwethu kodwa nokunika amathuba abantu bakithi ukuthi beziveze bezwe befunde njalo. Ngithanda njalo ukubonga bonke abalandeli be-MBC ngethuba onikelona.
Hayi siyabonga kakhulu. Njengoba nje ngishilo ukuthi hayi ungathi umushake kule ndima abakufake kuyo ngingazi njalo maybe ngiyaphazama. So kuhle ukuthi sizwe ngawo ukuthi katona ngubani vele kuZAPU.
Mina igama lokuzalwa ngumsongelwa Ndlovu. Igama ubaba enginika lona wanginika ngoba kwakulo munye ubaba ade ehlala la eLuveve owayethiwa ngumsongelwa, but it was his surname. Lo msongelwa ubaba felt that it was his inspiration in the politics of ZAPU. So umsongelwa ngilinikwe ngenxa yamaqhawe aqala lindima esesikiyo. Ngijoyine ibandla leZAPU at revival in 2008. Ngingu regional coordinator webandla in the northern region ebambanisa iHarare, Mashonaland Central, Mashonaland East, Manicaland. I'm sure ngithele Mashonaland West. So ama provinces wonke angale eNtshonalanga bengisebenza ngikhona. Kanjalo ngaba ngu-deputy director we-information ngisekela ubaba uMethu Solomon. Phethe indima saya ku-Congress withdrawal from the Unitary Code. Ngokuhamba kwesikhathi ke ngabe ngithatha lami ikhefu ukuthi ngibheke kwezinye izinto. Kodwa ke ithe i-Congress esandukudlula came, I was called to come out of self-imposed exile and help the party once again. And I replied to the call in the positive.
Okay, all right. So usumkantshubo kuZAPU kade ukhona la. Manje ke iZAPU nayo siyayibona ukuthi isithene 60. Ikho ke benithanda ukuthi namhlanje sike sixoxisane kakhulu ngakho lo. Kodwa ke ngicela ukuthi ngikubalele istatement esikhitshwe ngupresident upresident weZAPU uMichael Nkomo. Just part of it ngoba ngifuna ukuthi i-engagement yethu ibe best on that statement just a little bit. Uthi today gives us an opportunity to reflect on the journey that the mother party has come. It is an opportunity to evaluate where we are now as a party and to forecast the future. So basically, if we look at that statement, which is very loaded, there are three basic things that I would like us to look at. Firstly, what has been the journey that ZAPU has traveled so far? That's the first question. Then the second one, what are the current political and economical challenges that ZAPU is facing in the country? And then thirdly, what are the future prospects for ZAPU? Over to
you. Look, I think the statement that was released by the president in commemorating our 60th anniversary is probably one of the best statements that I've engaged on by a political leader, because it speaks to the past and it does so with pride. It speaks to the present and it speaks to the future. It also speaks to nearly all sectors or segments of our people, whether it is women, gender-based violence, whether it's immigration, whether it's economic issues, traditional leaders, veterans of the liberation struggle, all that is captured in that statement. To your questions, you speak about the journey that we have traveled. I'm sure you understand that when you turn 60 and you are still alive, you have stories to tell.
Yeah.
Uyabe sudlama kisimu satize njalo ulembali ongakhuluma ngayo. Kana wa munhu ane makore anokwana 60 zvinoreva kuti pane zvawaona zvawadzidza, pane zvakanaka nezvakashata zvaunenge wasangana nazvo. Loko ukula ufika malembe 60 swivula ku utadyondza swilo swo tala, kuna swin'wani u swi tivaku na swa kahle na swin'wana swilo swo biha. And as ZAPU, we have gone through a roller coaster of a political journey. But our key milestones will include, but not limited to, our fight for political independence from the Rhodesian regime. Yeah. We did not participate as an afterthought. We participated as a leader in that cause. We stand on the shoulders of great revolutionaries who brought about our independence. We are also aware that as much as we got our independence, we did not get our liberation. We are independent, but we are not free. But that is one of the things that we are proud of ourselves. But in the journey, we also encountered a lot of difficulties. And one of them is the persecution and persecution of our leaders and our supporters, which led to the massacre, the murder in a genocide of 1,000 members of ZAPU, who were in the majority, a tribe that was and continues to be a minority. But with all that, we have remained true to the cause of emancipating and uniting all our people, to ensure that we have the Zimbabwe that we've always dreamt of, a united people who see no tribe, who see no color of skin, who see no differences in religion. It is that vision that has led us to participate in this new revolution. We know that our erstwhile comrades have thrived on those divisions. They use divisions on tribe, they use divisions on color of skin, they use divisions based on religion in order for them to thrive. It is that we are back in the trenches to correct. Somebody asked me what are the biggest challenges that the country called Zimbabwe has faced. I've failed to go beyond one. And the one that I think has caused that country to melt into the condition we are now is tribalism. Everything else, in my view, is symptoms of a bigger problem. And the bigger problem is tribalism. The tribalism that started in 1963 when the British, through the then Commonwealth Secretary, Mr. Arthur Bottomley, formed a breakaway political party, which is called ZANU today. People must understand that the ZANU-PF was formed by the British through Arthur Bottomley. And their agenda then, as their agenda is today, was to weaken the only authentic liberation movement, ZAPU, by creating a tribal offshoot that was going to use its so-called tribal majority to stifle the revolutionary agenda. So that is the journey we have traveled, and we are proud to be standing because our luminaries like Comrade Tabengwa decided, Comrade Tenjwe Lesabe and them decided in 2008, 2009 that we need to come out of the belly of the beast, and we did, and we are proud to let the world know that most of our people who were in the belly of the beast came out just like they were ordered by the leader who President NKOMO. Challenges first. I've mentioned a few of them that were first, but the challenges that we have faced, the principal being the persecution and the prosecution of our people, the killing of our people. But genocide, to many, may have ended in 1987. But to some, it is a continuation. It is continuing even today. It is continuing, but in different forms. We still experience economic genocide in the country. When the whole world is facing a pandemic in COVID, the Zimbabwean government uses the pandemic and turn it into becoming as part of their commissariat. COVID now is being used by ZANU to advance their political objectives while limiting and shrinking the democratic space using COVID as an excuse. So you must understand that in ZANU you are dealing with a cunning organization which is built around the principles and ethos of the El Chapos, which are mafias in the Italian gangsterism space. So we are still faced with that. And now the economic genocide is not only affecting one tribe. You see, if you fail to lead, even those that you are trying to protect get affected. And that is why you find that Zimbabweans in general, it's no longer one minority tribe that is scattered all over the world, but everyone is leaving the country that they fought for. So those are challenges that we are facing, but the challenges we are facing as a party, we feel also the challenges that Zimbabweans in general are facing. What are the future prospects? The future prospects of the party are dependent on people understanding and appreciating what the values and the ethos that ZAPU was formed for in 1961. People understood that and participated in order to succeed in the vision that our forebearers had, and participate fully in advancing those goals, using ZAPU as a vehicle towards achieving that. I think the future prospects of our country will be better. But like I said in the beginning, the biggest problem we have in that country is tribalism. If we deal with that as a people, to say anyone, as long as you are Zimbabwean, you can qualify to do anything in order to develop, help develop the country, we will have a better and a more beautiful country that we can all be proud of. But you must also understand that the configuration of the political party after Congress has a mixture of wisdom in, and a good example of that is our president, who we feel that his presence is a blessing to our party. but is also ably supported by very young revolutionaries who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And we believe that the party is in good hands because the participation, including having a Secretary General of a liberation movement like ZAPU, who is only 33, is an indication that the party is moving and appreciating that the future lies with our young people.
Okay, thanks very much for that narration. You have raised a very important issue that I would like you to look at very closely. You said one of the greatest challenges that you have faced as a party since its birth in 1961 is the genocide. And I know that that genocide affected so many of your supporters. Now that the party has been revived successfully, what about those who are still saying ZAPU will bring back genocide on us? What are you saying to them?
Look, I've already mentioned that genocide is ongoing. It has not stopped.
Yeah.
It has changed form. So it can, what is there cannot be brought back. You can only stop it. And one of the things that the new ZAPU, there's no old or new, but this is ZAPU, which is emerging, is that we want to build a fearless party, an apologetic party. A cadre who is in ZAPU right now must display that uvalo asila. We are not scared. We are not going to be pushed around by anyone, and we will defend our people, we will defend our elderly and our women. And I'm sure this presidential statement also touched on it.
Yeah.
But firstly, it must be clear to all and sundry that the genocide has not ended. In different forms, they are taking resources from one province to develop another province. They are taking opportunities, they are taking resources, mines, land, and giving to people from, to benefit people from other provinces. To us, that is still genocide. And for us, it is important to build a robust movement that will resist that as and when it happens. But to correct that, we need a presence in parliament, for example, where we ensure that the laws that are crafted in the August House address those things. If we don't have a presence in parliament, we will continue talking and advocating for correcting these things, but our effect will be minimal. So we encourage our people at home to register in their thousands and to go and vote when elections are called, and to go and vote for ZAPU so that we can attend to these issues.
Yeah, maybe you are the very first person that I have sort of spoken to who has really touched on what I believe is the greatest problem in Zimbabwe, which is tribalism. Now that ZAPU has identified the core Zimbabwean problem, how are you going to address that?
You see, tribalism in Zimbabwe for me is a cancer. It is a cancer that is eating into the body politic of the country. We are in a state of paralysis because the leaders end the power through tribalism. The leaders sustain the power and continue to do so through tribalism. The leaders deploy people to leadership positions through tribalism. If you don't address that, you kill merit, you kill meritocracy. That is why you find that the best from Zimbabwe are all over the world.
Yeah.
You have, you could be broadcasting in Zim, helping out in Zim, but you decided to set shop elsewhere because there is no space for you to participate in anything in the economy. So we really need to collectively, it cannot be a ZAPU agenda alone. It has to be every Zimbabwean standing up and realizing that we cannot go anywhere when we think that if you are Ndebele, for example, you can't be president. If you are Ndebele, for example, you can't even be president of a football association, National Football Association. You can be a president of a darts association, let alone the country. Those that are in the majority are the ones that must drive this to say, if you are good at what you do and you are Zimbabwe, you should be able to lead. You should be able to take a leadership position. What we can do as a political party is to engage and bring together Zimbabweans and drive that agenda vigorously, especially the majority tribes, to appreciate that it is them that must drive it, not the other way around. The challenge we have now, and it's not the problem of the people, it's a problem that the leadership has taught the people that, for example, in ZANU, you'll hear people talking about Chinu, Chedu. Chedu is the poison that is feeding into the cancer. When they say Chinu, Chedu, they're talking about that the country belongs to us. And when they say the country belongs to us, they're talking about a specific tribe.
Yeah.
And you stand up like I do today and address that scourge without fear, without favor or prejudice. They are the first to refer to me as being tribal, because I'm addressing it. It is a wrong mentality that must be reversed. And to reverse it, it must be addressed by those who are in the majority to say, wait a minute. They expect me, and I do it again without fear or favor, to speak fluently in Shona or to speak fluently in Shangana. But when you ask them to speak in Ndebele or in any other language, they find it right and appropriate for them not to understand it. So it is those things that we need to address. It begins with leadership. We have a fair representation of all tribes in the party, and our members who belong to different tribes will also be engaging on these issues. But we are calling on the majority of our people, wherever they are, to be able to recognize that this is the problem that we must together address by making sure that we identify ourselves first as Zimbabweans before we are any tribe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Thanks for that. ZAPU, what activities were planned for the 60th anniversary? I understand in South Africa there was an event planned. Did it take place?
Yes. 2 days ago, we converged at the Dorothy Nomzansi Nyembe Park, and we celebrated a South Africa province. Mm-hmm. You must understand the significance of the venue, because Dorothy Nyembe was a pioneer nationalist in the African National Congress. Mm-hmm. What is also significant with the choice of that venue is that Dorothy Nyembe died on the 17th of December, 19.
Okay.
The 17th of December is the day that ZAPU was formed. Mm-hmm. The choice of that venue could not have been better in terms of its significance. But also, the hosting branch there was the Tumiso Tabengo branch. Again, putting to significance the name of the late president, Tumiso Tabengo. But also the attendance register will show you that in attendance were the most vibrant leaders in the party, including nearly all the youth brigade in the party, the Secretary General, who was a highlight official in the party, the Treasurer General, Comrade Fucham Sebele was there. We had also two ladies who would have made Comrade Dorothy Nyembe very proud, in Comrade Vui Hlazo and Comrade Tembi Tabengo Tingak, to our late president. So we had a cross-pollination of information and data, and also it was in a celebratory mood. We were celebrating the birthday of ZAPU, but also of significance was the message that we have no need to be shy to celebrate the heritage and the history of ZAPU, because the history of ZAPU is very rich, and other political parties, including ZAPU, they would want to stop us from talking about our history because they're jealous. They know it, and that is why they confiscated some of our records. But it was not only about the past; it was also about the future. We discussed the future because not only can we stand on the past, we need to be forward-looking. So we discussed a number of policy issues and a number of strategic issues that the party should take going forward, including deploying one of our NEC members, Comrade Voye, to go into communities in South Africa who are affected by immigration issues and engage them to see how the party can help them, because some of our countrymen and women are living in squalid conditions in South Africa. We also discussed the issue of the ZEP, which is topical, and we will very soon be giving guidance after the NEC deliberates fully on that.
Okay. All right. I understand that there was another event planned for, let's say, is it at Matopo?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we had an event. See, the 60th anniversary celebrations were devolved into to be done by provinces, and them was supposed to be done at the Nyongolo Hopstead. We applied as the norm for clearance to converge. Unfortunately, the authorities decided that we cannot continue fighting COVID regulations. I've said it before. We acknowledge that the pandemic is causing havoc and it's killing our people and has destroyed the social infrastructure and economic infrastructure in the country. So we do acknowledge that the pandemic must be, the COVID protocols must be respected. However, like I said earlier on, we believe as ZAPU that besides the COVID pandemic, we believe that ZANU is also a pandemic because using COVID to advance and their objectives and shrink a democratic space. You will know that a day after a day when we wanted to converge at Nyongolo, Emerson Mnangagwa and his ZAPF were in at Makorokoro launching some irrigation scheme, and thousands of people attended that event. We wonder whether the Zimbabwean COVID is so intelligent that it will say, we will not attack the ZANU meetings, but when it is ZAPU, then we go there in full force. We don't believe that it is scientific to think that way, but we think that because we are led and ruled by a mafia, they will use anything and everything to stop democratic activities.
Yeah, you have already touched on a very sensitive and topical issue. We know that particularly in Matabeleland, there have been some displacements since 1980s. These people have sought refuge, particularly in South Africa. But we know that South Africa has made a decision not to renew the Zimbabwe exemption permits. You have said that one of your cadres, ZAPU, has been deployed to visit the communities, but the NEC is still yet to sit down and deliberate on the issue. You personally, what do you think ZAPU should do?
I basically think that the issue of immigration is not a South African problem alone. I mean, even in Zimbabwe, there are issues of immigration that are being dealt with. But the South African immigration issue must be viewed based on the politics within South Africa. I have lived in South Africa now for over 5 years, and my appreciation of the political market is such that some of the causes of South Africa, of the ANC losing votes is the issue of immigration. The members and South Africans in general have been putting pressure on government to address the immigration issue. And I think what the government announced recently is a reaction to that. And so we must look at, we must accept that the ANC and the South African government also have pressures that they are dealing with. And that's the first thing. But the second thing is that we must also note and acknowledge that one of the causatives of people, especially like Zimbabweans coming to South Africa, is also because the ANC has failed to deal with their counterparts in Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF. Yeah. Over years, they have nurtured a snake. They have pampered a snake which has been living on the blood of Zimbabweans. And when the Zimbabweans have nowhere to stand, nowhere to live, and they come to South Africa, part of that is because the ANC government itself has failed to make corrective decisions in dealing with ZANU-PF. However, it is also important for us as a people, as Zimbabweans, as Africans, to appreciate that every country has its laws, and every country has policies. And when policies are made, we must all respect them. But as we respect them, we must try and engage to try and find solutions. We cannot engage the South Africans and their government as if we have a right to be in South Africa. We have in South Africa on their own benevolence. They have been good to us, very good hosts to us. When they decide against continuing, we must engage not as a right. We totally disagree with those of some of those amongst us who are decided to take the South African government and the South African people to court, demand that they continue living in South Africa. I believe that there should be better ways of dealing with that. And one of them is that we must put pressure on the ANC government to put pressure on ZANU-PF. However, and lastly, we cannot continue fighting to be accommodated in other countries. We should use our energies to fight to ensure that we build a better Zimbabwe ourselves. We have a precedence already. Our forefathers, look out Masuku, Tumiso Tavewa, and them decided to go to foreign lands to come back as soldiers and fight for their country. We cannot then, if they decided to go to Zambia and went to Zambia and say, Zambia, accommodate us, we will not have a Zimbabwe today. We need to start realizing that even the decision of the South African government to send us back could be a good omen for us to be able to register and for us to be able to vote. So we need to also balance those and ensure that we participate in correcting the problems in our own country whilst we are seeking to be accommodated elsewhere. But our priorities must be that, number one, we fight for our country, and number two, we try and push to go and develop it.
Okay, no, thanks very much. You said the theme for the celebrations is finishing the unfinished business. What would you say is the unfinished business? Because that statement on its own, it sounds very loaded.
Earlier in the interview, I stated the vision of our forebearers. They were very clear on a Zimbabwe they wanted to create. And when we look back now, nearly every Zimbabwean understands and appreciates, especially those who were opposed to ZAPU in the 80s, appreciate now that we missed an opportunity in not voting ZAPU into power and Joshua Nkomo as the first prime minister. It is that we need to reflect on and do. The unfinished business for us has never been about political parties or whatever formations. It has always been about the people, especially African people. That is why the name of our party is Zimbabwe African People's Union. And union is the most important element in that, because we are talking about uniting our people, destroying tribalism, using our God-given natural resources to build a thriving country. We were the first to talk about land, and we were talking about land in making sure that whoever needs it, irrespective of color, irrespective of tribe, whoever needs it and can utilize it, does so for the benefit of our country. But what then happened? They came, they killed people to get the land, and killed the land which was supposed to be productive, and the land is now the one that is even killing people of hunger. So that is unfinished business that we're talking about. You know for a fact that immediately after independence, our political party bought, through money that was given to our veterans, bought land, bought companies, and they were, before they were destroyed and taken, they were thriving. We had a clear model of how a state is built. It is those things that we want to go back to, and using the current nature of politics and the markets, adapt to the existing situations.
Okay. No, thanks very much. I think for today, maybe we can end it here. However, if you've got closing remarks, that would be appreciated.
Firstly, I think the most important thing is to realize that this month we are celebrating 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The political party, we are urging our men to be leaders in this effort. But this also happens when we are celebrating 60 years anniversary. We want to use this month and those twin events to advance the ideals of which ZAPU has always stood for and continues to stand for. It also happens when we know that there is a date in the Zimbabwean calendar called the 22nd of December, which is normally celebrated as the Unity Day. We urge Zimbabweans to participate in that day, but they must be clear that they are participating not in celebration of unity, because it will be a false narrative, because Zimbabweans are not united. But to celebrate it in acknowledgement that it is the day that stopped the butchers of our people continuing doing so. It is an acknowledgement that it is a day where we agreed that those that fed on the blood of our people must stop doing so. But to those that believe there is a unity, we want to use that day to reflect, and like I said earlier on, to reflect on whether we are indeed united and what will make us united as a people. And the one thing that will make us united as a people is that we must understand that unity does not mean difference. We must understand that unity can be possible in our diversity, but also that the majority must understand that it is their collective role to advance that ideal. So let's use that day to come together as a people and reflect. There is no need for anyone to think that there's a special tribe that is anointed to lead. There's at one stage, there's a Zulu thought they were anointed to lead, and they destroyed the country to smithereens. Right now, we hear the Karanga believe that they are anointed to lead, and they now call the country Chinuchedu, and we know the results. The results are very clear to everyone who cares to listen. Now, we need to use that day. Every Zimbabwean must ask within themselves and reflect and say, are we united? Is it necessary to be identifying yourself according to tribe, or to identify yourself according to being Zimbabwe?
Okay, you have just raised, I'm sorry, I'll have to ask this one. You just raised the issue of gender-based violence. And I'm just thinking in terms of equality in ZAPU, I think in the top 6 or the top 5, there are no women. Why?
I think it fits in very well to the issue that I'm raising. Mm-hmm. And it cannot be blamed on ZAPU, really. It is blamed, I would blame it on the national body politic, where other political parties use violence against women, against men. Mm-hmm. We've seen how a former deputy prime minister was abused at some stage in some political formation. And that has led to very few women coming forward to participate in political activities. That is why we are making it a topical issue as ZAPU, that we must lead and protect our women to make it comfortable for them to participate in our politics. We are not going to do what other political parties do, to invite people from anywhere to occupy positions in order to make a show to say we have parity, we have gender parity, when the women either understand nothing about that political organization or are not disinterested in the politics. We will gradually, and I've mentioned 2 strong ZAPU women, young women for that matter, who participated at our meeting in South Africa recently. We are building an organization that realizes that women should play an integral part in the party. But yes, our top 6 is not a reflection of that, but it is a reflection, unfortunately, of the nature of our politics in the country. Gradually, as we move forward, we will ensure that when our women know fully well that they're protected, and they're protected in ZAPU, we will gradually see a number of women taking active role in the party.
Okay, no, sibongile kakhulu baba Ndlovu, sithi nwele lude ZAPU ngokufikisa iminyaka engamashumi ayisithupha iku political arena ilwela amalungelo abantu. siyethemba ukuthi izoqhubeka njalo iwalwela amalungelo abantu. Asidibaneni futhi kwizinhlelo ezinye ze-MBC. Sibongile kakhulu.
Ngiyabonga.